Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I am excited out of my skin. This is Jeff Galloway. He is one of my running heroes. This man was in our 1972 Olympic team. He has run 152 marathons in his lifetime. Clearly he's crazy, but he's really amazing. He actually runs 7 to 8 marathons a year, which is inconceivable to me, but he is living proof that you can make running a lifestyle. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. I can't tell you how exciting this is. I'm just thrilled.
Great to be here.
So thank you. Jeff is a brand ambassador for Mizuno, and he's touring the country and teaching classes, and I get to go to one on Sunday, so I'll have all kinds of new information next week, which is really cool. Jeff also is a writer for Runner's World. It's a magazine that you might have heard about, and he has a great website with a lot of information on it for those of us that are just starting out running. So that's one of the things that he's here to talk to us about, is his Jeff Galloway Run, Walk, Run program. Because I know a lot of people feel like if they walk when they're out running, that they're kind of copping out, or gee, I wish I could run the whole thing. And you actually recommend running and walking and running. So please tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Alicia, it's a strategy, and as we know from all types of training, if you have a strategy, you're more likely to be successful. In terms of running, there are no rules that state that you have to run every step. In fact, if you will look at the major marathons, there are athletes at almost every level that put in strategic walks, particularly at the water stops. But what I've found over the last 35 years, and training over 250,000 people now, if you put those walk breaks in early and continue them quite often, you keep erasing fatigue. Not only can you go distances that you didn't think were really possible, but you can actually go faster in races because you don't slow down so much at the end.
That makes a lot of sense. So kind of the idea of giving yourself not a real rest, but to run and then to let your body relax a little bit so that you can keep running.
There are two major principles. First is conservation of resources, and that is if you use the muscle exactly the same way, it's going to fatigue more rapidly and sooner. And if you put those walk breaks in early and often, you save the resources so they're available to you at the end.
That totally makes sense, because nothing feels better than finishing a race really strong.
And my overall mission is that I want you to be in control over your destiny, and this gives you a major degree of control.
That's really cool. Okay, so now tell us about hitting the wall, because we've all hit that wall. Sometimes it's 1.5 miles in, sometimes it's at mile 10, which is where mine was in my half marathon a couple of years ago, and you get to that point and you just want to die. What do you do?
The wall is primarily self-imposed, and that is you either are reaching that point where you have trained, or you went a little too fast in the beginning or did not take enough walk breaks in the beginning. What I'm finding with walk breaks is that if you put much more liberal walk breaks than you've been doing, then a lot of people have been able to double the distance before they hit the wall, and in fact never hit the wall. But the point is that you have to put these walk breaks in right from the beginning, and they continue to erase the fatigue of the muscles, the feet, the joints, so that you can keep pushing back that wall beyond what it was. So there are two ways of extending your wall. One is through training, having a gradual increase in the length of your longest run or walk every 2 weeks. And the second one is to impose more walk breaks from the beginning.
Which sounds actually like it would make running a lot more relaxing for a lot of people, not to feel like you've just got to push and push and push until you're going to die. So to learn more about that, Jeff's website is the most incredible resource. It's jeffgalloway.com, and his site has programs that break it down for you every single run of every week to go for a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, or even a marathon. And he lists out exactly at your pace group, you know, how many walk breaks to take and what period to run for and how long to walk for and how to build that up. It's really amazing. So please do check those programs out. Now there's one other thing that I get asked a lot of questions about, and it's that big carb load dinner the night before. Now you all know that I'm not a fan of pasta at all, but you know, all the big races, they have like the big party carb load the night before the big race the next morning. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the reason for that is quite simple. There are sponsorship fees that are paid to the organizations, and there's also the return at the gate for organizations. So it's financial.
Okay.
But in reality, there is no benefit physiologically from eating a large amount of food the night before when you have a hard event the next morning. In fact, if there's a lot of carbohydrate loading done the night before, there can often be unloading during the event the next morning, and that can be very embarrassing.
I bet.
So it's just be careful with smaller amounts, eat regularly, and don't overdo it.
And one other thing that I saw on Jeff's site that I'm a real believer in, you say not to do anything new on race day, because people often wonder, well, what do I eat? I'm going to go and run this 5K. What's my special breakfast that day?
In fact, there's really no food that will help your performance in a short period of time. So even in a marathon, you don't have to eat a breakfast before a marathon. The blood sugar boosting can be done during long runs and marathons or races if you need to do that, and that avoids the stomach discomfort. I am against puking, so this is one way that you can get away from ever having to confront that problem.
We agree on so many levels. It's so funny. I just love it. So we've covered a lot of great information today, and I am so grateful, but you can keep the information coming. Jeff has an awesome newsletter. It's completely free. Sign up on his website, jeffgalloway.com, and keep running. Jeff, thank you so much.
Great to be here.